Welcome back to CX in the Wild Season 4.
Let's start with who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, great. So Jennifer Bok. I work at Nationwide Insurance, which is a Fortune 100 company in the United States. We sell property and casualty insurance and protection insurance, like your retirement plans, life insurance, all those financial products. I am the AVP of Technology Operations, which means I run a call center and I run the tech labs and some other things to do technology support for all of our employees and all of our independent sales folks.
Wow. You've probably seen a lot in your years. You've been at Nationwide for quite a while.
I have. I've been there 31 proud years.
And have you always been in the area of customer care or
Good question.
experience?
Not always, but that is how my career started out. So I was hired out of college. I went to Ohio State University, but I was hired out of college to be a claims rep. So
Okay.
what I did is I went to people's homes and I talked to them about their auto accident or their homeowner's accident, and I would settle that claim for them. So I did the injury side of things. So if you were hurt in an auto accident, I'd do the investigation and I'd write a check, for injuries and those kind of things that we were at fault for. So my career started out in customer service, but I've run multiple call centers and other things. But I have had roles where I'd say I did not interface directly with the public or with the customer of Nationwide, but I do interact today with salespeople for Nationwide and our internal customers, which is our employees.
Nice. And have things changed much in the last 30 years?
Oh, things have changed so much. Think back to, oh my gosh, so I joined Nationwide in 92. I did claims in 1992 on paper. Like on paper, I wrote my notes. I called so-and-so. This is what happened. Here's my negotiation. Everything was on paper. I remember when systems came into place and we started using computers for our job and everything else. So I would say things have changed dramatically and they continue to change. You think, oh, everything's out there. We have all this great technology and we have some artificial intelligence in place on it. Nah, it keeps changing. It's going crazy all the time.
So you were on paper in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And was customer care on paper then too?
Oh, yeah.
So how did that work?
Think about even when you used to go to the library. Remember how you used to find library books and
Yes.
you'd have to go get a card system and figure it out
Yes.
and go to it? It's the same way with our claims files or customer files and everything. Back in the day, you had to have a filing system with everything and go find it. Quickly, though, we got computer systems in.
Sure.
Yeah, in the early 90s, we were getting computer systems in. But yeah, it was very hard, I think, to really understand what was going on with individual customers, let alone any insights at a global level. How do you get those insights when everything's on paper?
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody go count all the Dewey Decimal cards from
That's right.
there. Hey,
You remember me from On Contact, not from this company.
Dalton.
Here's the award.
Yes. Oh, yes. Nice to see you there, sir. I'm sorry we're in the middle of a CX in the Wild podcast. Let's catch up while I'm here. Thanks, sir.
Oh, very nice. Nice to see people you know.
Yes. So you've been through this thing, and I just want to preface this. If I ask you anything, feel free to say pass because we don't edit this. So just say pass. Here's what I'd like to pick your brain about. Going from paper to where we are now, certainly everyone would acknowledge that technology has created a lot of transformation. If I go to any organization right now, here's the basic the theme of the environment. People love innovation, but they hate change. So the basic mental mindset would be, we love innovation, but we don't really want to change because what we've been doing is great. And so therefore, I think looking forward, one would predict that change is hard or difficult. But if I look back over your last few years, change seems to have been really easy because you've gone from a bazillion stacks of paper to this. So what do you think is missing in that forward-looking fear and anticipation or resistance to change, versus you looking back, you sound like you've had a wide, a fruitful, transformative career of constant change. How off am I?
No, I think you're on. For me personally, change is a personal story, right? So you either embrace change, you're like, I'm all in, let's go for it. Or you're at the other end of the spectrum where you fight change. And then there's this whole gamut in between, right? So everybody has their own change level that they're comfortable with. My personal approach is embrace it, because it's going to happen anyway. Mm-hmm. So for example, I have eliminated my own job a couple times in my career. And my husband has said every time, are you crazy? And I say, honey, things are changing. We're moving in a new direction. Wouldn't I rather be a part of the discussion where we're eliminating my position, right? Let's be a part of the discussion. This is how things are going to go. And then hopefully parlay that into some other new opportunity, right? So I've always been in the mindset of let's embrace it and see how we can influence it as we go. Because otherwise, if you're fighting it, you're probably fighting a losing battle on a lot of these things. But I do think every person has their own individual level of tolerance on it, but eventually it's in your face and you've got to move forward. But yes, I agree with you. People love innovation. We love talking about innovation for everything else, not for you personally.
That's right. I have a friend, Deba Saho. He's the head of transformation at Fidelity. And he's been successful at transformation there for years. And I talked to a lot of transformative leaders. I said, Deba, what's the secret, bro? You're in like this giant company and transformation, like.
I love Fidelity, by the way. Yeah. I have lots of products.
How do you manage transformation? He said, here's the secret to transformation, Dennis. Transformation, people will say it's about getting from point A to point B. And he said, people can envision and articulate and rally around point B. But the truth is, transformation happens at point A. And he said, I focus on point A, not point B. And I was like, that's how you get it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that insight. I always say people can have these dreams and these visions and everything, but the truth is in the execution of that strategy to get there. So go back to point A, figure out the plan in order to get there. Yeah, that's the secret sauce, I think.
Yeah. So you've had a history, sounds like a great career of transformation and growth. It sounds like growth intellectually, because you've gone from paper to computers to AI, and you're still sort of in the thick of things. We talked a little bit before we got on the podcast about the employee experience, and you seem very energized. You seem to light up when you talk about the employee experience. I will say, around the entire industry, people are finally making the connection between employees and experiences, and I'm not certain that's brought on by. What do you think's brought that on?
Well, great question. What's interesting, rewind, everything was CX, right? Everything was customer experience a few years ago. You never heard of EX, right? Employee experience. I think the industries have realized that if you want to transform the customer experience, you also have to transform the employee experience. The employees make the customer experience, right? So if you care about your employees, you treat them well, give them the tools and resources they need, they will care and be engaged and take care of that customer on the other side. Whether you're in sales, service, it doesn't matter. You have to show that care and concern for the people that are on the phone or on live chat or doing whatever it is they do to talk to those customers. That's the secret sauce to me, is how do I make their life easy, fun, engaging, and then they'll in turn take care of the customer.
Yeah. My perspective, I'll share it on that is, I talk to a lot of leaders about customer experience. And if I ask 100 customer experience leaders what customer experience is, the vast majority of them, if not all, will say something to the effect of, customer experience describes the relationship between a customer and a brand, and there's a journey in between, and the process of making that journey frictionless or tapping into the moments that matter, those sorts of things. All the discussions go there. And here's what I would say. I would say they're not wrong, but they're all wrong. Here's what I think customer experience is. This is the missing element of that description. Every customer wants to be the hero of their own story. The brand's job is to find out where in that customer's life do they help that person become the hero of their own story. That's the customer experience. It's not the buyer experience. It's, and I'll give you a real world example.
Yeah.
My daughter's a cheerleader. I'm driving kids to cheerleading camp. They're all in a car. I'm driving down the road. I see a McDonald's. Boom, I take a right-hand turn. I go through the drive-thru. I don't miss a beat. Nobody's late, but on the way, everybody's eating America's favorite fries. Dad's the hero. That's my story. McDonald's made me the hero of that story. That's the customer experience. It's not the discount. It's not how fast, you make a burger.
I love it. And I've never heard it quite described that way. Because it's funny, you said moments that matter and the journeys and all of those things. That is the buzzwords or the things people say when they talk about the customer experience. I love the way you did it, being the hero, because everybody wants to be the hero of their own stories. Everybody does.
So bringing it back to you and your wisdom, current wisdom, what I think you're saying there is because I see you light up when we talk about the employees. Those people are the ones who make the customer the hero. That's why there's magic there. You take away the cast at Disney's Magic Kingdom, and they've been struggling with this. You take away the magic comes from the cast members.
Agreed.
It doesn't come from the machines, the rides,
Agreed.
the visuals. Mm-hmm. And so what you're talking about is the magic of customer experience.
Yeah, I love the way you said that, and I love those examples you've used. I think it's my job to focus in on the employees that serve the customers, and especially my employees that work for me in my contact center. I want to know them individually. I want to know what makes them tick. I want to know where they want to go in their career. I want to care about their dog. I want to know as much as I can. And when you're talking hundreds of people, it's hard, right? But as fast as I can, the more I can make those individual connections, they realize how much I appreciate and care about what they're doing. And they are able to help that customer and help them be the hero. Yeah, sure.
You're either contributing to someone else's heroic story and journey, or you're not. And if you're not, you're probably not supposed to be in CX or EX.
I love that, yeah.
So, all right. So I think we agree philosophically about the current temperature and of the industry. But I think how do you feel about the philosophical conversation of balancing humanity and technology in this new era? And let me contextualize some of the curiosity I have. For the last few years, leading up until early 2023, technology, chatbots, etc., were going to replace humans. And now, all of a sudden, I think we're seeing this new era where there's this collaboration or harmony between humans and technology, agents powered by technology instead of agents replaced by technology, which is a little nuanced there. Thoughts?
Yeah, so I have believed all along that the technology would augment the experience. Now, don't get me wrong. There will be positions that are eliminated, no longer needed, etc., or fewer of them, maybe is a way to say it. However, I do think technology really generates new roles and new ways of doing the work. Things you and I haven't even dreamed of, jobs we can't even imagine right now are going to pop up out of technology. So even though people talk about technology, eliminating positions or changing them so much they're not the same, look, I believe as many as that happens to, we're going to have multiple times that generated new. So that's the exciting part. I do believe that there are positions that are definitely at risk, though. And so people need to spend time developing themselves, developing new skills, figuring out what else they can do. Where can I add value to the company? Maybe I changed in careers entirely. But I look at it as a positive. Like I look at the world as this is good. Can people use technology for evil? They can, right? We both have said stories where they can be used for evil. But I think companies are using it for good, and they just need to get the employees on kind of the same path of this is for good, and it's good for you too. And we all need to invest in upskilling, learn new skills, all of those things.
Just, you can say pass. Have you yourself used ChatGPT yet?
Yes.
Okay, so I use it all the time.
I use it personally, not for work, although we're allowed to use it for work, but not in production yet. So it's people are playing around with it, trying to figure it out. But I use it personally.
So you get it.
Yeah.
So for me, thinking about agents who have this capability, it creates super agents. I really am on this bandwagon of tools that make agents super agents because
agree.
You jump in.
I was going to say, I agree because I think sometimes in the contact center space, we focus in on agents should use knowledge to solve problems, right? So we attach the knowledge, make sure they follow the process and do whatever. I'm like, what the heck? Give them all the tools they have, all the tools they want, need, can get access to, then solve the customer's problem, right? So why not let them use these different things that would help them be the super agent? Let's be the super agent.
Yes, and that's why I was trying to share with you this company that I'm following, because they ingest all the stuff, and then agents are suddenly able to answer their own questions.
And be the superhero. And be the hero.
Be the hero for our customers as the hero. So, okay, tell me about, do you have any opinions about the globalization of customer service?
Not much. Nationwide, just in the U.S. However, we do outsource pieces and parts and, do offshore work and other kind of things. I am more of kind of focusing in on the United States work. So anytime I do have staff augmentation or other things, it's all in the U.S. So I do think globalization, though, it's here. It's here to stay. So
you adapt and you overcome. I can tell you not afraid of the future. It's interesting you said that. I'm glad I asked that question. So I've been following a lot of BPO stories, and I've just been fascinated about American BPOs. And I had to do a story on one of them, and I was like, do people demand onshore talent? And she said, yeah. She said, if there's a hurricane and you're an insurance company and you want people to answer the phone, you want those people to be in the country and ready to,
Yeah, and so Nationwide's, a U.S.-based company. We only sell insurance and life insurance and homeowner products and those kind of things in the U.S. So we like to support the U.S. economy and all those kind of things. It's just a part of the value system. Again, we do use some offshore talent for programming and other things. So we do definitely do that. But for me, in my contact center, I have a couple of arrangements with different staff augmentation firms that I use to bring in help. But I have a lot of employees too. So it's a combination effort. And we staff across the United States. People can work out of their house. It's fine. If you want to work in one of our buildings, it's fine. I don't care. But we try to support kind of where people are in the United States. And most importantly, I like to try to employ people in maybe some of the small rural communities where finding a good paying job is hard to do. And it could change their family situation, their life, because we pay pretty well. And especially if you're in a small town where minimum wage is all that's kind of going on in that town. Now you have this great job working out of your house.
Back to you're such a champion for the people. I love that. So what was the biggest good thing that you could think of that happened during the last few years? Because there was such a shift with the world pandemic and all of that. So much of care changed. what would you say would be the evolution that was great that came out of it? Because I don't like to focus on negative stuff. What do you think was the good thing?
You know, of all the things, especially during the pandemic time, right? So we're officially out of the pandemic now. But during the pandemic, all the bad things that happened and everything else, well, look at all the good things that happened. Technology moved forward multiple years. People were able to work out of their home. We were almost 100% in the office. Now people can work out of their home. I can recruit talent across the country, right? Where before we had to localize it in certain cities. Like, that's good. And you want to know what else is good? Is think of people's personal lives. I personally had a father-in-law who died of cancer during the pandemic. My brother-in-law, his wife, the grandchildren, everybody could work from our house or their house during that very difficult time. They didn't have to take off work. They were able to work and be there in his last few months of his life. Like, you couldn't do that before the pandemic because there wasn't the ability to work from home like there is today. So think of all the good that happened. Even in that bad situation, we turned it into a positive because we were there as a family surrounding him day in, day out, and we could still do our job. We didn't have to take months off work. How amazing is that?
You were the heroes of your story. You were able to contribute to your own journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of my stories. Everybody has a story like that, where if you really reflect back on the last few years, there's a lot of positives that came.
I like to say that, but people's appetite for change. But it sounds like you already had that. So, okay. I love your energy. I love what you've accomplished. What can we take out of this conversation that can help the listeners as besides everybody wants to come work for you right now?
Thank you.
Obviously. What do you have? I just want to be thoughtful about how we maximize your voice.
Yeah.
I guess, number one, how have you maintained such a positive outlook and energy? Because we all know it's tough to work and it's tough to change. You have a good positive, and maybe that comes from your success, but is there a something inside that you think of that helps you navigate CX, EX, and this landscape and keep your energy high and happy?
Yeah. So first of all, I think I'm blessed because positivity is one of my 5 strengths on Strength Finder. So I'm blessed there. That's why I try to stay positive. But I look at it as it's a choice. Things are going to happen, good, bad, in between. You can choose to see the positive in it, or you can choose to see the negative. And I would just say you have to roll through whatever's going on and go through the mental change with it. But the quicker you can get on the other side and embrace what could be a positive outcome here, the better. When it comes to CX, I will go back to an earlier comment. CX is about EX. So let's focus in on the employee experience and all the people who serve those customers. So if you're asking for parting words on that, I would say, I think the game changer is actually EX on a CX experience.
How do people manifest EX in their organization this year? What's your advice?
Personally, I would say you have to focus in on their voice and how do you get that data information, doing surveys and other things to get the EX voice, and then be able to take those insights and put them into action. So it's one thing to know what they're saying. It's another thing to have a plan and put it into action. And we do that at Nationwide. We have the voice of employee, voice of associate, we call it. And we try to put their words and their needs into action. We do it specifically on technology needs in my area. But yeah, I think that's the important thing. Put it into action.
It's interesting you said that. I have another guy, partner, Sean Shepard. He manages a innovation consultancy called U+. And I was talking to him about human-centered design or transformation innovation. And he said something similar to you, which was, he said, team members who don't feel heard don't innovate.
I agree with that. Why would you?
And so it's interesting, right? These human elements as leaders, I mean, when you talk about the employee experience, you're really talking about yourself in many ways. As a leader, your job to help manifest those, put yourself out of a job in your own words, that is really kind of a catalyst for innovation and progress. We're really talking about progress there. So it's been so fun talking to you about progress.
Yeah.
I guess that's all I have to say. I mean, I'm fascinated by your story. I appreciate you talking. I don't even know how to wrap this up. CX in the wild. How do we wrap this up? What are you paying attention to? We've talked about EX and CX. What is the one change that's on the horizon? Don't say AI. That you think it's going to be. If you had to think about the agents, not as a corporate leader, but for the agent, what is the most important thing you would give your agents, advice and leadership? Hey, agents, I see this ahead of you, but you should be keeping your eye on this thing. What is it? What's most important for the agents to pay attention to in 2024?
I think I would tell my agents to focus in on how they can provide that wow experience to whoever is calling or chatting with them, and to embrace that customer like they're a beloved family member or friend. And I think if you could treat them that way, they'll innovate. They'll find ways to solve that problem. They'll do all those things, and they'll leverage AI that you told me not to mention, perhaps to help do some of that. So if they can really embrace that idea, I think they'll look for the ideas to innovate and be more creative maybe in their work for them individually and holistically as a team.
Okay, thank you so much for talking today. That's a wrap.
Thanks for listening to CX in the Wild. We hope to see you the next episode.